The cargo ship breaks apart in the pre-dawn darkness, torn open by a submerged reef no chart had warned about. The impact throws him against a bulkhead, and when he surfaces, gasping, the vessel is already sinking stern first into black water. He clings to a piece of decking, drifting for hours as the sun rises over empty ocean. By midday, delirium sets in. The salt water has cracked his lips, and his tongue swells with thirst. Then, through the haze of exhaustion, he sees it. A dark mass of land, low and forbidding, rimmed with white surf that sounds like distant thunder. The reef nearly kills him before he reaches shore. Waves slam him into coral, opening gashes across his arms and legs. He crawls onto black volcanic sand, coughing seawater, and collapses. When he wakes, the sun is directly overhead, and his skin is already burning. The island stretches before him, a crescent of beach giving way to dense jungle, steep volcanic slopes rising into mist. There are no sounds of human presence, no boats, no planes, only the relentless crash of waves and the strange clicking calls of unseen creatures in the trees. His first need is water. Without it, he has perhaps 3 days. He stumbles inland, pushing through undergrowth that slices his arms with serrated leaves. The jungle is a wall of green chaos, vines thick as cables, trees whose bark weeps toxic sap, ferns that conceal sharp volcanic rock beneath. He finds no streams. The volcanic soil drains too efficiently. Sweat pours from him, accelerating his dehydration. His wounds sting in the humid air, and he knows infection is already a risk. By evening, his vision blurs. He tries to drink from a pool in the rocks, but the water is brackish, contaminated by sea spray. It makes him vomit. That night, he nearly dies. Without shelter, he lies exposed to a tropical storm that arrives without warning. Rain lashes the island in horizontal sheets, driven by winds that bend the palms double. He huddles against a fallen log, shivering despite the warmth, as lightning illuminates the jungle in bursts of white. When morning comes, he is hypothermic. His core temperature dropped dangerously low. But the storm has left something crucial. Fresh rainwater pooled in the broad leaves of plants, in hollows of volcanic rock. He drinks carefully, sipping, knowing his shrunken stomach cannot handle volume. The water tastes of earth and salvation. He begins to learn the island's language, written in pain and near misses. A bright red frog, no larger than his thumb, sits on a leaf near his makeshift shelter. He reaches toward it, curious, but instinct makes him pause. Its skin glistens with moisture that is not water, but toxin, enough to kill him if absorbed through his open wounds. He learns to recognize the plants whose fruits cause burning diarrhea, the vines whose sap blinds on contact. The jungle is not actively malicious, but it is supremely indifferent. Every meal is a gamble. He watches birds to learn what is safe, but even this is unreliable. A bird's digestive system tolerates what his cannot. Shelter becomes his first achievement. Using driftwood scavenged from the beach and broad palm fronds lashed together with vine fiber, he constructs a lean-to against a rock face that offers some protection from wind. The structure is crude, barely adequate, but it keeps him dry when the afternoon rains arrive. He learns to anticipate the weather. Clouds building over the ocean in late morning, the drop in wind speed before a squall. He collects water obsessively, using every container he can improvise. Large leaves arranged as funnels, hollowed sections of bamboo, the curved skull of some dead animal found in the undergrowth. Water becomes his currency, his calendar, his constant obsession. Fire proves nearly impossible. The wood is perpetually damp from humidity and rain. He tries the bow drill method, using a straight branch and fibrous bark, but his technique is wrong, and his hands blister raw. For days he eats raw. Small crabs caught in tidal pools, their flesh tasteless and rubbery. Shellfish scraped from rocks, always a risk because some species here accumulate toxins from the reef. Once, he makes a mistake. Severe cramping doubles him over for hours, and he vomits until there is nothing left. Dehydration returns. He almost loses consciousness before managing to drag himself to his water cache. The island's wildlife observes him with cold calculation. Sea kraits, black and white banded serpents, glide through the shallow tidal pools where he fishes. Their venom is among the most potent in the world, and they are curious, approaching him without fear. He learns to move slowly, to never corner them, to fish only when they are absent. At night, centipedes as long as his forearm crawl across the shelter floor. Their bite causes excruciating pain and tissue necrosis. He sleeps lightly, waking at every sound, his body never fully resting. Exhaustion accumulates like a debt he cannot repay. Hunger reshapes him. His body begins to consume itself, metabolizing muscle tissue for energy. His ribs become visible, his face gaunt. He learns to fish with a sharpened stick, standing motionless in knee-deep water until a fish ventures close enough. The technique requires patience he did not know he possessed. Some days, he catches nothing. On good days, he secures a small reef fish, which he must eat carefully to avoid the bones. He discovers that certain rock pools contain edible sea urchins, their orange roe bitter but calorie-dense. He learns to crack coconuts using rocks, though the effort expends nearly as much energy as the meat provides. The psychological erosion is slower, but more insidious than physical decline. Days blur together without calendar or routine. He talks to himself, at first self-consciously, then compulsively. The sound of his own voice becomes proof that he still exists. He creates tasks to structure time, checking water reserves at dawn, foraging in the cool of morning, resting during the murderous midday heat, fishing at dusk. Without these rituals, the island threatens to erase him entirely. He finds himself standing motionless for hours, staring at the horizon, his mind empty. When he catches himself doing this, fear jolts through him. He is losing coherence. Weeks pass, or perhaps months. He cannot be certain. The moon cycles, but he loses count. His wounds have healed into raised scars, prone to reopening. A persistent infection in his left foot causes swelling and fever. He treats it by soaking the foot in salt water, which brings agony but seems to slow the spread. He knows that if the infection reaches his bloodstream, he will die. There is no medical intervention possible. His survival depends on his immune system winning a battle it fights alone, in tropical heat, with inadequate nutrition. For days, the fever leaves him delirious. He hallucinates, voices calling from the jungle, ships on the horizon that vanish when he looks directly at them. He discovers that isolation has a physical sensation, like pressure against the skull. In the beginning, he expected rescue. He built a signal fire, maintained it, scanned the horizon with desperate hope. But the island is too remote, or perhaps off any shipping lane. No planes pass overhead. The ocean remains empty in all directions. Eventually, hope becomes a luxury he cannot afford. It consumes energy better spent on survival. He stops maintaining the signal fire. He stops scanning the horizon. He accepts that rescue is not coming, that this island is now his world entire, and that acceptance brings a strange, hollow peace. The breaking point comes during another storm. Wind tears his shelter apart, scattering palm fronds into the jungle. Rain floods his water collection system, washing away days of accumulation. He crouches in the open, screaming into the wind, his voice lost in the roar. When the storm passes, he lies motionless on the sand, staring at nothing. He has reached the edge of what endurance means. His body is failing. His mind is fragmenting. He understands, in this moment, that he will likely die here. The island will consume him as it has consumed countless others. Slowly, indifferently, completely. But he does not die that day. When dawn comes, he stands. He rebuilds the shelter. He collects water. He fishes. Not because he believes in rescue, but because the alternative is to surrender, and some part of him refuses. This is not heroism. It is something more fundamental. The stubborn, animal insistence on continuing. He moves through his routines mechanically, without hope, but also without despair. He has become a creature of the island now, adapted to its rhythms, shaped by its cruelties. Then, on a morning that seems no different from any other, he sees the boat. It is distant, a white speck against blue water, moving parallel to the island. He does not trust his eyes at first. Hallucinations have tricked him before, but the speck remains, growing gradually larger. He runs to the beach, waving his arms, shouting. The boat does not change course. Panic floods him. He grabs driftwood, anything that will burn, and frantically assembles a fire. His hands shake so violently he can barely work. The fire catches, sends black smoke into the clear sky. The boat turns. They find him half collapsed on the sand, dehydrated and malnourished, covered in scars and infection. The crew speaks a language he does not understand at first, his mind struggling to process human voices after so long. They give him water in small sips, wrap him in blankets despite the heat. As the island recedes behind the boat, he watches it shrink into the distance. It looks peaceful from here, almost inviting. Nothing about its appearance suggests the brutality of its interior, the thousand ways it finds to kill. He survived not through strength or skill, but through a combination of caution, luck, and the refusal to stop trying. The island taught him that survival is not a triumph. It is simply what happens when dying takes longer than expected.